Hello there, this is the March 6th recap of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. First up, we have Chinese Foreign Minister. China-Russia friendship is, quote, rock solid, and the prospects of cooperation are extensive. This is kind of interesting because at first, China and Russia seem to be going all buddy-buddy. And, that alliance they have since the 90s, and they recently restored. And China was saying, don't call this thing between Russia and Ukraine an invasion. But then China actually started imposing some sanctions, called for Russia to stop doing what they're doing. And now they're saying again their their friendship is rock solid, which I found quite interesting. And then we have Zelinski, quote, if the invasion continues and Russia is not stopping, a new sanction package is needed. A boycott of Russian export, refusal to buy Russian oil and petroleum products. You can call it an embargo or a moral thing to do when you refuse to give money to terrorists, end quote, which is a pretty powerful statement. And then we have confirming New York Times, Biden admin is weighing easing sanctions on Venezuela so that it can begin producing more oil and selling it on the international market. Move would be aimed at reducing global dependence on Russian oil and isolating Russia from one of its key allies in South America. Which I get what they're trying to do here. I don't know how much I would say Venezuela is an ally, though. Not too long ago, we were not allies with them. And their loyalty is kind of sketchy, in my personal view, just saying. But I guess another, in my opinion, I just wish the Biden administration would rely more on oil from America, and we wouldn't have to rely on other nations, stronger nation building within our own nation. Man arrested for driving truck into gates of Russian embassy in Dublin. Quote, I want the ambassador and his colleagues to leave this country, leave this free country, end quote, the driver said as he was taken away, according to the Irish Times. It's the luck of the charm. Ukraine, Russians shoot fake video in Chernobyl. Ukraine state company Energy said that after the Chernobyl plant staff refused to participate, the invaders filmed their troops dressed in the uniform of the French company Novorka, which had left the zone in 2020. Then we have first foreigners have already joined International Legion, Ukraine's volunteer military force, and are fighting outside of Kyiv, according to the Ukrainian ground forces. The volunteers came from the US, UK, Sweden, Lithuania, Mexico, and India, which that is just an awesome picture. All those people from those different countries just all coming together to fight in Ukraine. And it restores your faith in humanity a bit more. And that is just a great photo. Third round of Ukraine-Russia talks ends with no results. The parties agreed to change the logistics of humanitarian corridors, according to Mikhailo Podolyak, advisor of Zelinski's administration. However, quote, there are no results that will significantly improve the situation, end quote, which I don't think that is much of a surprise to anyone, sadly. Reuters, U.S. may ban Russian oil imports without Europe. The U.S. is willing to ban Russian oil imports into the country without the participation of its European allies, according to the source cited by Reuters. Finally, good on the United States for doing this without Europe. And I was actually looking at the statistics behind this, and I found this actually quite interesting. We only get roughly 8% of our oil from Russia, according to Reuters. Meanwhile, it's the European countries that really rely on Russian oil. So, really, I think a lot of this also comes from gas companies just trying to gouge prices, because really we only get 8% of our oil from Russia, which really, when you look at how gas prices work. It's not all dependent on presidents. I would probably argue it has more to do, a little bit more to do with Congress and presidents, but even then, I think a lot of it just is kind of a mix between politicians, but also whatever the oil companies can get away with. And that's my take personally, though. You may have a different take. Senior Pentagon official, nearly 100% of Russia's combat power already in Ukraine. According to a U.S. defense official cited by CNN, Russia has already launched more than 625 missiles against Ukraine. He also said that Ukraine has enough surface-to-air weapons for production. So, yeah, that is just crazy that nearly 100% of Russia's combat power is already there. You know Putin is pissed. And next we have loading. 2 oil depots in Zhytomyr Oblast on fire after airstrikes, according to the State Emergency Service. The targeted oil depots are in Zhytomyr and Chernobyl. The fire has been extinguished. No casualties have been reported yet. Video, State Emergency Service of Ukraine. Now this video is absolutely crazy. If we can get it to load here, let's see. Yep, there we go. That's just crazy. Wow. Next, Mark Hamill retweeted this. In the eyes of a child, you will see the world as it should be. This is actually, no matter what your take is on this song, a lot of people think it's, all cringe now, but this girl. Let's see if it'll load. Read it while it waits. Little girl singing Let It Go in a shelter in Ukraine, obviously. Come on, man. That is truly amazing. Just a little beacon of light for everyone else. Truly wonderful the mind of a child is. See who gets that movie reference. Reuters, EU may gradually decrease energy dependence on Russia which is great, which I'll say my thoughts on that in a second. According to a draft statement, EU countries may agree to decrease their dependency on the imports of Russian oil, gas, and coal as early as this week, there's reports, which that would be great. But what I meant by it would be great if they gradually decreased energy dependence on Russia. It sucks that gradually, but I guess, get that. It would just be better if they sanctioned it, in my opinion. Maybe they already have, actually. I might have to fact check that. But Russia's economy is primarily energy dependent. I mean, it's mainly energy based. So that's why I view that as a positive for sure. Next, we have the International Cat Federation has banned Russian cats from its shows. Just like with EA Games, I don't know how much this is going to do. Really putting a stump in Putin's plans. He's just sitting over there growling now. But I applaud the stance, though, nonetheless. Good on Nexta, looks like. Next we have Scoop. According to Axios, Slate. Anyways, Biden's advisors are discussing a possible visit to Saudi Arabia this spring to help repair relations and convince the kingdom to pump more oil. It's interesting to see how that will go, given our history with Saudi Arabia. If Biden could fix or repair relations with us and Saudi Arabia, that would be great. But again, I feel we should try focusing a bit more on our own country for oil, in my view at least, because now we have Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, and I think I also heard Iraq. Not sure. I have to fact check that third one too. Don't take my word for that one. Ukraine kills Russian Major General Vitaly Gerasimov near Kharkiv. Ukraine's chief directorate of intelligence of the defense ministry said. Gerasimov was a senior military official who participated in the Second Chechen War and was awarded a medal for, quote, capturing Crimea, end quote. So that's a big blow to Russia's military there in terms of rank. Khyberkov, Ukrainian transport infrastructure damage due to Russian aggression reaches $10 billion. Ukraine's Minister of Infrastructure, Alexander Kuprikev, estimates that most losses can be recovered in a year, with the most complex in a maximum of 2. Which is an insane amount of money. Pentagon now believes Russia recruiting Syrian fighters for war in Ukraine. And the announcement follows a Wall Street Journal report on March 6th that Putin was recruiting Syrians skilled in urban combat to fight in Ukraine. Which we did talk about that here in the podcast a while ago. The difference now is that before it was the Wall Street Journal saying this, and now it is the Pentagon believing this as well. And then we have Russia will not use conscript soldiers in Ukraine. Russian dictator Vladimir Putin said in a televised address on March 7th. Putin also claimed there will be, quote, no additional call-up reservists, and that professionals fulfilling fixed objectives were leading the war. All of which is a lie, and personally, I do not believe Putin when he says that, it will only be that he won't conscript soldiers. I'm not sure how I believe that if this drags out and Putin doesn't get his way and doesn't think his military is sufficient, which I can see happening depending on what his end game here is. He will most definitely conscript soldiers. Just my view, I suppose. It's all about his ego for him. Bipartisan bill, I don't know why that's highlighted. There. Bipartisan bill introduced in U.S. House of Representatives that would ban import of Russian crude oil. The bill would target U.S. imports of Russian crude oil, coal, liquefied natural gas, and petroleum products, which I did a bit more research on. I couldn't really find too much on it. I couldn't find the name of the bill or anything. But it does say here, the bill will ban the United States from importing Russian crude oil, petroleum products, liquefied natural gas, and coal. Senators Joe Manchin and Lisa Murkowski introduced the companion legislation in the Senate, which, in my view, is fantastic. You have Democrat Joe Manchin that a lot of people on the left aren't really liking because they feel he's blocking Biden's agenda he's trying to get through. And then you have Lisa Murkowski on the right. These are people that, in my view at least, are pretty in the middle. So I think it's great that these are the senators that are introducing it, because I think it will actually bridge both sides together. And because, unfortunately, sometimes, depending on whose name is tied, if there's a D or an R next to their name, that's just a turn-off for the other side. But fortunately here, we have both a Democrat and a Republican backing this, so that is fantastic. Bloomberg reports Russia surpasses Iran and North Korea as most sanctioned nation 10 days after full-scale invasion of Ukraine. It became the target of 2,778 new sanctions for a total of 5,530, Bloomberg reports, citing Castellum.ai, a global sanctions tracking database, which that is crazy. I'm not sure how many sanctions we had in Russia before, but that just shows that we've imposed a hell of a lot of sanctions on Russia since this began. U.S. State Department spokesperson Ned Price calls Russian embassy tweet, quote, flat-out lie. Russian embassy UK tweeted on March 7th, quote, the goal of Russia's special military operation is to stop any war that could take place on Ukrainian territory or that could start from there, end quote. What war? That reminds me of the meme on the podcast yesterday. Putin knocks on the door, goes, knock, knock, I need to save you. Save us from who? I need to save you from me if you do not let me save you. That's essentially what it is. When I deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq as a USAF pilot, which is United States Air Force pilot, I never experienced the high morale that I currently observe among my Ukrainian friends on the front lines. After 12 days, the stakes are clear. Their nation's survival. The objective is clear. Expelling the invaders. Which I think does show something as well, but I think we all can see that, but it's just great to hear. Our new Zelinski Address, quote, there is no blood on our flag. There are no and will never be black spots on it. There are no and will never be any swastikas on it. The Ukrainian flag is the land, peaceful, fertile, golden, and without tanks. So it was, and so it will be. He is just, and here's another quote from him. In a speech taped as he sat behind the desk, Ukrainian President Zelensky says, quote, I stay here. I stay in Kyiv, in Benkova. I'm not hiding, and I'm not afraid of anyone, end quote. He is just one hell of a leader. I believe I tweeted this earlier, and I'll say it again. President Zelensky to Ukraine is essentially how President Kennedy was to the United States, in my view. Except this time, instead of it just being for one nation, for him it's for the world. He's inspiring people all over the world. Just so many people have the utmost respect for this leader, and rightfully so. And finally, thought we'd leave off on this note. how they expected to occupy a country where a man with his bare hands moved landmine while smoking cigarette. I think I was supposed to read that in Russian accent. Sorry, I'll try again. How they expected to occupy a country where a man with bare hands moved landmine while smoking cigarette. So here's the video. Putin will destroy them in a few days. And on that, a bit more positive and more inspiring note, that is all I have for this episode. Should be back tomorrow night for another episode. And as always, glory to Ukraine.
Русский военный корабль, иди нахуй!
Stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going now. Stop, hey, what's that sound?